So in the previous video I've already talked about how to create a bootable disk using Rufus. So again coming to the point as why creating a bootable disk is very necessary is that it becomes important to install the operating system yourself. So this video is also aimed at people who have very less knowledge of computers, also people who are looking for more technical knowledge of how to deal with operating systems and how to install new operating systems. So this is not a perfect guide, but this will give you information of almost most of the things you will need to know about how to install operating systems yourself, and some of the softwares which can help you to install the softwares or operating systems like Windows and Linux operating systems like Ubuntu and Linux Mint, etc. in your computer yourself. So it becomes very important to have this knowledge yourself, because it's not always affordable to have a technical consultant for knowledge to reinstall your operating system or install a new operating system when a crash happens. So it is important to install operating system, to reinstall, to repair. Also it's important to test live disk in case of Linux. If you have a bootable disk, you can always do some testing from the live disk rather than having to install it in your physical hard drive. Always you can keep that bootable disk and you can boot the operating system from the bootable disk whenever you will need that. And some of the important softwares which will help you to create a bootable disk is softwares like Rufus, Lunix Live USB Creator, Unetbootin, and Startup Disk Creator. So these Rufus is one of the software which I have used mostly to create bootable disk, and again it's possible to create bootable disk for both Linux and Ubuntu, Linux and Windows using this. So this is a good advantage of having a software like Rufus to do that. Again, if you are already installed Ubuntu or a Linux like a Ubuntu, then you can use a startup disk creator of which is a bootable disk creator from which you can launch from Ubuntu itself. So this is much more stable and better if you have already installed a Linux. If you are not installed, then I would recommend using Rufus. Then there's other softwares like Linux Live USB Creator and Unetbootin. So Unetbootin is a cross-platform utility that can create live USB system. So again, all these softwares will help you to do one thing, that is create live USB. So if I have this Rufus open for you, and this software will show you the device which will be the USB device which you will be plugging into your computer. So if you don't have any knowledge of how to do this, then you'll have to buy a pen drive which is usually 4 GB, 8 GB or 16 GB pen drive capacity, as the operating systems have modernized. Files, ISO files, are the files which you'll need to install or download and keep in your computer. So the different ISO files which currently I have in my computer, if I will show you, then I have the ISO files for Mint, Ubuntu, which I have already downloaded from their websites, and I have kept in my hard disk this ISO files. And whenever I will need to create a bootable disk, I will be using a software like a Rufus, which I will download from the internet, and I will install that. And this is for the Windows operating system. So I will have installed the Rufus Rufus software in the Windows operating system, and from there what I will do is that I will select the ISO disk option. So whichever ISO which I have downloaded for Linux Mint. So if I will select that, then, and if I will click on start, then the bootable disk will be installed in the USB drive which I have plugged in. If I have multiple USB drive, then I will be able to select here, but I have only one USB drive which I had currently put in my system, so I have only one option. So that's how, and there is not much knowledge regarding the partition scheme or file system, etc., which you need to done, all this will be done automatically. But FAT and NTFS systems are mostly used for Windows, and exFAT is used for Linux based systems. Again, Unix based systems have their own partition file systems like ext, etc., so which if you are working on Linux systems, you'll have knowledge, but I'm assuming you have very less knowledge of Linux. So once you'll start using these systems, you'll get those knowledge. And again, the other software which is very useful is Unetbootin, which you can select the different Linux OS which on Windows OS which you want. So Unet, while Rufus is available for installation from only Windows, so this software can be installed in only Windows operating system, from which you will be able to create bootable disk for both Linux and Windows systems. And again, Unetbootin can be installed on both Windows based operating system and Linux based operating system. So you will be able to create bootable disks using this Unetbootin software from both Windows and Linux. So the downloadable files for both Windows and Linux will be different, which you will be knowing. And the other is a Linux Live USB creator. So this is the other software which also allows you to create a bootable disk. I will have to choose a USB and the ISO file, and then I can create the bootable disk. And again, it also allows you to download the files. So these are some of the softwares which will allow you to create bootable disk. So again, why I put an emphasis on, or why I make a tutorial about creating bootable disk, is that this is one of the most important thing which people without computer science background, or people with very less computer knowledge, don't have. And most of the times it's knowledge which you like to have as a beginner, or not having a degree in computer science, or not into the computer background. So again, this can be handy and helpful. And if you have any queries, or if you are stuck somewhere and if you need more information, you can always post in the comment regarding this. And if you like this video, please do subscribe, like and comment. While I have shown a basic overview of the different softwares which can be used to create bootable disk, mainly from Windows, also from Linux based operating systems. So I've not gone into detail of how to create those, or as a manual of creation for those softwares. So if you'd like to get more information about how to use each kind of software, it is a very basic simple methods to use the software, and it can be used by following simple steps. But still, it will be advisable to have some knowledge about how to use these softwares, so as not to corrupt your disks, or not to cause damage to the data in your hard disk or hard drives. That's all. If you like this video, please do subscribe, like and comment.